recording. And let's see, this is the Board of Health meeting of what, October 2nd, 2024. We have a quorum consisting of myself, Catherine Hilton, Arlene Reed, Garrett Simonson, and Noreen Peace. And we're hoping for Wim, but who knows?
Yep.
So, first order of business, can we accept the minutes?
Yes, I think so. They seemed great.
Any problem with the minutes from anybody who was here last time? I know, Noreen, you weren't.
Right.
That would just be Garrett.
Yep, I'll move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Arlene?
Yes.
Garrett? Noreen, you want to vote for them even though you weren't here? You're allowed to.
Yes, I will.
Okay, and me too. So
All right.
those are done. All right. We've got a few things on the agenda. One is a disposal works construction permit for 59 Shore Drive. That is Donna and Gary West. And this has been a long, long saga. They bought the house next door to them, which I think was number 57, and they tore it down. And they had a tight tank at number 59, but now I believe they're getting a full system. I should check that. Hang on. And it's taken a long time, you know, going through Concom and whatnot. It seems like it's been going on for just forever. Yeah, this is definitely a whole. Oh, no, it's another tight tank. It's another tight
it
tank.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the plan in front of me here. Tight tank plan for B411 and 412, number 59. So another tight tank. So it's pretty simple matter. I don't know why it took so long. But there you go. So the question is, shall we approve it? Claudia says we should.
So move that we approve that tight tank.
Second.
All in favor? Arlene?
Yes.
Noreen?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yes.
Kat, yes. Okay, I will issue that and we'll finally get that put to bed. We also have a repair permit for 29 Lady Slipper Lane. And Claudia, I don't really know anything about it. It's a conventional system as far as I know. Claudia recommends approval. Arlene, I don't know if you consider this a near neighbor that you should recuse yourself or not. That's kind of your call.
I understand. We're not abutters, but our well is very close to it. I mean, not within 100 feet, but you know, I guess if I'm not needed for the quorum on this, then I would recuse myself.
Okay. Okay. I don't know that there is anything noteworthy about this. It's a simple replacement.
It's simple replacement, meaning all components are being replaced, or?
I believe that they are. Yeah, I think it's a full replacement. Yeah, they paid the full fee. So yeah, it's my understanding that there have been some problems at that place. So this is a good thing.
Yeah, that's partly why I think it's best if I recuse myself.
I thought you might want to. Is there any other discussion about this permit?
Has this whole house recently sold, or what prompted the
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There was a Title V and looks like a new owner, and they are getting the place in shape.
Great. Well, I move we approve this new system or the system replacement.
I second.
All in favor? Garrett,
Yes.
Arlene?
Recused.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Noreen,
Yes,
Kat, yes. Okay, there we go. Okay, pretty much across the street at number 1618 Highland Drive. They did a Title V inspection, and they found that the tank needed to be replaced. And they're going to replace it with since it's a duplex, they're going to replace it with an enormous 6,000-gallon tank, apparently.
wow.
And the way that this is normally done is they find out that a component needs to be replaced and they immediately move to replace it. And then they catch up with the paperwork afterwards. They apply for a permit and they have a review and so on. But basically they have it done. So probably, possibly by now, this might actually be in, but we will be asked to sign off on a permit for the replacement of a single component. Is there any objection to this?
Has it been, this is the sort of thing that gets reviewed by Claudia as well?
Yes.
And has she?
Yes,
reviewed-
but it's pretty much pro forma because she doesn't prevent it,
Right.
Alan Weiss is the designer here, and basically they're just swapping out one tank for another, except in this case it's a bigger tank. They still have to get a permit.
Mhm.
Anything else on this?
I move that we complete the process by signing off on this application.
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Noreen,
yes,
Arlene,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Kat, yes. So I will issue that when the time comes. It has not come to me yet, but Alan gave me a heads up that this was happening. Are there any updates that we need to discuss? Anybody
Yeah.
know anything that they want to share? Garrett does.
So at our last meeting, we briefly talked about the opioid settlement funds,
Right.
and there is a end of October deadline for Shutesbury to report on any expenditures that we've made with those funds. As a reminder, we went to the select board and sought their approval, and they did approve for us to pool funds with the Valley Health Regional Collaborative for shared initiatives around mitigation around addiction and opioids. From the last Valley Health, actually not from that last meeting, but from talking with Greenfield, my understanding is that not the other communities haven't bought into that concept, even though we have. And so I don't think that it's likely that the funds are going to be pooled.
Okay.
It's on the agenda for the collaborative to talk about on the 10th. And I've reached out to Becky. I assume we haven't spent any of the funds as the town. Reached out to her to confirm that and then to offer her assistance with completing the reporting. And so I'm still waiting to hear back from her on that. But it is a topic of discussion at the collaborative on the 10th.
So I'm assuming that we got permission from the select board to pool the funds, but that doesn't mean we can not pool. We can't not pool the funds. That we can. That's not going to prevent us from using the funds simply as a town alone with them.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay.
And I've had a couple of emails with Sarah Fisk, who's been doing work with Leverett on how they're going to use their funds. And I think she had did she have a program tonight? You said, Arlene, that she was doing a program?
Yes, stroke awareness at the Leverett town hall, I think.
Yeah, so she wouldn't be able to attend tonight's meeting, but I think after the meeting with the collaborative on the 10th, and Noreen, I'll take cues from you on this too, since you're also involved in the collaborative, that based on what we learned there, maybe we ask Sarah to come to one of our meetings to talk about what she's doing with Leverett and if it makes sense to do the same here.
Yeah, I guess just clarification, Garrett. I thought I understood from the minutes that it was Greenfield that no longer wanted to pool funds. Is that wrong? Or is it, it's sounding like the other communities haven't perhaps gone to their select boards to ask about because everybody seemed to be in favor of that process a year ago. So I'm wondering what's changed.
My understanding from Megan is that Greenfield was a definite no.
Okay.
And that perhaps the other communities hadn't done the legwork we did.
Right. That's what I was intimating. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, might still be possible to talk to collaborative members and pool money with the other 5 towns.
Potentially, although it sounds like Leverett has, gone in a different direction, and maybe that they're looking at spending it locally.
Right. Do you remember what it is? Is it like, it's only like $5,000 or $6,000 for Leverett and Shutesbury. I think it's not a huge amount. I've got notes on it somewhere. I'm just can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
5,000 or 6,000 sticks in my mind.
It isn't a lot.
Yeah.
Well, when we were talking about this originally, the idea was that there would be a fairly large scale regional
Right.
action. And I wonder if that is really the way this is most likely to play out. It's possible that
Doesn't sound
fairly
like it.
small local actions are going to be more effective and more what we need. And that, I mean, I don't know, I don't have any sense of the scale of the problem here, not in Shutesbury and not in the whole region. I don't know if you guys have gotten any sense of that from the collaborative. But
my recollection is that the funding allocations were at least in maybe significant part based on prescriptions.
Yes. Yes.
And not necessarily documented misuse or what have you, but that's my recollection of how the funding was set up.
Mine as well.
Do we have any sense from the collaborative or anecdotally or in any other way the extent of this problem in our town?
No, I think that's one of the things that we were talking about when Jen was still director in Greenfield, was trying to do some research and learn a little bit more about it, to even use some of the money to see if we could put together a little bit of analysis of what is happening in our 6 towns.
I think Garrett mentioned last time that Sarah is putting together a questionnaire that we can use for this kind of assessment.
Good.
And would it be legitimate to use some of our funds to do any funding that we need for that? I'm not sure what it would be, possibly sending out questionnaires to the townspeople. I'm not sure.
There are some limitations on it, as I recall, but I don't remember specifically what they are. And going back to the data piece, I don't know if, and I can't remember if Jen ever did anything around EMS data. But so like 911 calls or but
okay.
Yeah, I think maybe pooling some data. I don't know if our police department and emergency response keep track of what kinds of calls they go out on, and if they're related to drug overdoses or that sort of thing. I mean, it'd be something that'd be kind of interesting actually to look into.
I would
Let's see.
think that they would keep records of these things, and I mean, we wouldn't want to violate anyone's privacy, but we could certainly ask them how many, right? Just
Right.
how many calls
Right,
have they gone on in, say, the last year?
yep.
That would be illuminating. All right, I will. Or maybe it would be better if Garrett or Noreen did this, reach out to Kristen and say, Lenny, and just ask them if we can have a number or two. How many calls have you taken? How many addiction related or drug use related calls have there been since, say, 2024? And just so we can try and tailor our response, if any.
I can do that.
Okay.
Did you say since 2020?
Yeah, say just this
Yeah.
year, just this calendar year. That would give us an idea.
Well, 2020 and this calendar year is different, so I
I'm
thought you
sorry.
were looking,
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I meant 2024, and somehow
Okay.
I'm in a time warp.
okay. I thought that was me, but
No,
go
it's
for it
me.
if you want to,
No, it's
Kat.
me. That
Okay.
zigzag is catching, I guess.
Yeah, apparently.
Who knows?
Okay. Yeah, it might be better to have the whole calendar year 2023. Anyway, I'll think about it. I'll ask them how they keep their data, and it might be interesting to know what happened in 2023 and maybe the first 6 months of 2024, something like
Yeah.
that.
Sure. Yeah, keep it open-ended and see what kind of information they are willing to give you, and whatever seems good to you.
Okay.
Although I'll point out that the they as first responders don't always have a diagnosis. They don't have it may not be obvious to them. It's the hospital personnel who make the diagnosis, but they may nevertheless get feedback on that. I don't know those protocols. So
Well,
they-
but I mean, they also might get
just
a
putting the
call.
question out to them, they'll let you know if there are limitations on their knowledge of whether something was determined to have been drug related or not.
Right. I would assume that that would be part of the call-in, somebody would call and say somebody's having an overdose.
You would think, but
But
Or if they've had to use Narcan, for example, that kind of thing.
mhm. That would be interesting to know if they
Yes.
use it. Just from all the people I know, I can't imagine anybody in Shutesbury having this problem, but I'm sure there must be people who do because it's so widespread.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Are there other things that we need to talk about?
I have a question.
Mhm.
In your recent townwide news email that you sent out,
No.
when you followed up and said, here are the links for registering,
Yeah.
you mentioned the clinic, the vaccination clinic. Now,
Yeah.
why am I, here's my,
Mhm.
got kicked out of my Board of Health email for some reason. Hold on. I'm logging back in. And I don't recall that there had been a preceding email that notified people about this clinic. Maybe
there
I
was.
deleted it, but I'm just checking in as to whether there was an email that explained or told people that in fact there's this clinic happening.
There was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was-
I must have misplaced it. Okay. But I did see the one with the links. And I knew you had sent out one about availability of tests and about Sarah's availability at town hall. And I'm seeing that as the September 20th email. You addressed three things: mosquito season not over, Sarah's availability, and the fact that she has COVID tests. So that was the 20th. But there was a subsequent one other than the one with the links that told people about the clinic, is what I'm hearing you say. Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I don't have it, but okay.
Well, I'm pretty sure that I sent it out, and I know that people got it because they immediately asked me for the link because I
Oh, I see.
neglected
Okay.
to put the link out.
Anyway, I don't have.
And in fact, on September 26th, there's a September 26th one that says free COVID tests and more. There's COVID tests, and then there's vaccination clinic. And then there's the
Okay.
new guidelines for isolation and quarantine.
All right, I must have somehow put it in the trash and I'll
Yeah,
find
it
it. The
happened.
26th. Okay, thank you.
Here, yeah.
Yes, it
Oh, you
was
got it?
in my trash.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Interesting. Just what we need.
When
Okay,
is that
got it.
when is
Thank
that
you.
clinic date, since you have it up or somebody has it up?
It's the 25th. from
25th of
3
October.
At the elementary school from 3:30 to 6:30.
Okay, thank you.
Right, and we are not being asked to assist, at least not so far.
Mhm.
They have a commercial vendor that is contracted by
Do
the
you know
state.
how registration is going?
I don't.
Okay.
A few people have expressed interest.
I may actually register and get my latest booster.
Me
Right.
too.
Kind of bump the numbers.
Excellent, because they do need to have 25 pre-registered or they'll cancel.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm not sure. I suppose Sarah will know.
Okay.
We can check with her.
And can I just ask Garrett, I got an email from MAFCO and it looks like there's some changes in MAFCO, Garrett. Can you basically just summarize what's going on at MAFCO?
So I think the main change is that the meeting dates and times have changed for both the steering committee and the full coalition. So I think instead of the first Monday, it's now the second Tuesday
Okay.
for both committees. And let's see, other big changes are really around, so the planner position, the contract for that is in full effect with DPH, between DPH, not DPH, but for COG and the contractor, and that the coalition has an approved work plan with DPH. And that work plan is going to be discussed next Tuesday.
Right, and something about the focus is now on response as opposed to planning for the objectives for this year.
Yeah, so the shift is around development of a public health emergency response framework for each of the coalitions. What that looks like has really been left up to each individual coalition. I think within Region 1, they're taking more of a Region 1 approach than just specific coalitions. DPH has declined to provide guidance or guidelines as to what are essential components of the framework. So it's likely to end up looking very different across the regions within the state. So
Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
yeah. But I mean, they also have declined to define where the state fits into the framework.
Excellent.
So
All right, I'm almost sorry. Oh,
that all sounds a little bit strange, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is there some unanimity about what is a public health emergency?
Good question.
That is also not defined in the deliverable.
Mhm.
The way that I'm approaching it with the communities I work with in Metro Boston is that as opposed to talking about it from a specific hazard, we're talking about it from the perspective of what are the public health impacts associated with the hazard.
Mhm.
You know, so we're not talking about responding to a hurricane, but we're talking about responding to populations that have power dependent medical needs.
Mhm. Right.
So that's the approach we're taking with it,
Mhm.
because my philosophy is absent guidance and guidelines, I'm going to make up my own.
Yeah. You'll have to. Okay. Well, it should be interesting to hear what y'all come up with.
Will be. I mean, the good news for the western part of the state is that communities are a bit more alike than, you know, urban to suburban. You know, like in
Yeah.
the communities I work with, we have some communities that have populations closer, you know, maybe double what Shutesbury is, but we also have, you know, Cambridge and Somerville with 100,000.
Mhm.
So it's out here we're a little similar, a little more similar.
Right. Okay. Well, keep us posted. You say there's a meeting next Tuesday. Is that a steering committee meeting or a full coalition meeting?
I think that's a full.
Hmm.
Yeah, so next Tuesday is MAFCO, and then next Thursday is Valley Health.
Okay.
Actually, no, the eighth is steering.
Okay. Good.
It's steering, okay, because I was gonna say, and I'm the full coalition representative from our board, am I, Garrett, or are you?
I think
Do you know?
technically I am, but
Okay, that's fine with me,
but
that's
but
great,
others are in terms of voting.
yeah,
I think I'm the representative, but
great.
other board members can attend.
I have a dentist appointment that day, so, but you said
It's
I think
steering
you just said it's steering, okay,
committee on Tuesday, and then that next Thursday is Valley Health.
okay,
And are
got
you
it.
for that one, Noreen?
Yeah, I'm available, is it still at 8:30 in the morning?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great, yes, I am.
Excellent.
I'll let you know closer to then if I can't go. But if you're going to be there, you can represent us.
Yeah, fine.
Looking at the email just now, I noticed that the email, did y'all get the email from, I guess, DPH saying that the Tripoli risk level has been dropped all over the state?
No, but that's good news.
I
Yeah,
got is that on the one with the subject line, the weekly arbovirus report?
no,
What's
it's
the subject
the
line on it?
subject line is state health officials announced Tripoli risk levels lowered in several communities. But what they
got that.
go on to say is that Tripoli is no longer the risk from Tripoli is no longer considered high or critical anywhere in the state. Communities previously at higher critical risk are now at moderate risk.
Okay,
So that doesn't affect anything out here.
yeah, I do have that.
But you know, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah, I did a search with those terms in it, and I just got that an hour ago, but hadn't seen it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
interesting.
So that's a small bit of good news.
Well, I have kind of a snide comment. Is that because they sprayed in high-risk areas? Do we even know?
What they said, let me go back to that. What they said, well, what they say is we know that most Tripoli infections occur by the end of September. And that so Katie Brown is quoted as saying, the mosquitoes most likely to spread Tripoli are dying off and are present in smaller numbers. Their activity is driven more by temperature and humidity and somewhat less by the time of day. I don't know what that means. But they don't mention spraying. I think that they did spray in some places, but I don't really know.
Okay. Just curious, because I know communities can be, you know, overridden. Their decisions about spraying can be overridden by the state. So it's just curious if that had.
Right, right. You may remember that a few years ago, I went to quite
Right.
a lot of trouble to opt us out.
Yes.
And one year they just refused all those requests.
Hmm.
And then the following year, I did it again. And our request was granted, but it turns out that it doesn't apply to state property in a town,
Oh.
which in our town is practically everything. So, because there's so much of it, so I have not
That's interesting.
I have not bothered to do the opt-out procedure anymore, because I figure it's pointless.
Wow.
I also thought I heard recently that the ability to do that, to opt out, for a community to opt out, no longer exists.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I
Um,
know that.
that it's not within, I don't know if it was a statute or whatever, but that it's, I thought that was my understanding.
Interesting. It certainly makes things more simpler for them if we can't opt out. I'll be amazed if we ever have to actually face that in Shutesbury. It just doesn't seem to come out here, but the way things are going, you just never know.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
The only other thing I can think of is I listened to the last select board meeting, and they discussed knotweed, and it sounded as if we might receive a request from the select board for our view on, or what the feedback that we gave to the knotweed committee when they came with their proposal. That they were possibly going to ask for additional information from our meeting and also the Conservation Commission's meeting. So I don't know if you've heard from Becky about that at all, but that might be coming our way.
I have not, and it doesn't seem to me that we really gave any feedback at all at that meeting.
Although I provided the knotweed folks with some written feedback on things that I found in other management plans.
Right, right, there was that. Right, they can get that stuff off the website. I don't know why they would have to bother with us, but I don't know. What sense did you get from that meeting of how the select board is responding to this?
I think they want us and the Conservation Commission to weigh in. But in my opinion, the Conservation Commission should lead on this, but
I had intended to view that meeting, and something came up. I don't remember what, but I was unable to. And then I went to see if I could find the link to the recording, and it was very confusing. Maybe it just wasn't up yet, but I thought I saw something that said that meeting had been canceled. But I'm obviously, if you went, then it wasn't. So I'll try again to find the link and listen to it.
Yeah, I think sometimes there's a significant lag between the time of the meeting and it being uploaded.
That may be it.
It's just, especially with early voting and stuff going on, that there's a lot of pressure on the town. Do we, I mean, since it's come up, do we have any kind of position on this? Is there anything that anybody wants to express? And should we be taking a position on whether this is acceptable or unacceptable or what? Any thoughts?
Eric, can you share what you conveyed to the select board about the information that you did find? And I know I could go.
So
use
not
that.
to the select board, but when the Knotweed committee
Oh.
came to our meeting,
Yep, got it. That's right.
and I shared some feedback on information that I was finding in other management plans around the state that I thought they might want to include. So I sort of highlighted for
Got
them,
it.
here are some examples of other plans that contain information that address personal protective equipment that the individual who's applying might wear, other things like that. And then I had another thought on this. So to Kat's question, I think that it is largely about the town's use of pesticide, of herbicide on town property. And then from our perspective, I guess one concern that we might want to weigh in on is the application as it might be proximate to a well. And I don't know if DEP has guidelines as it relates to public water supply that we could look at. So that might be one thing that we could consider weighing in on. I know that in our meeting, there was talk about a regulation in Great Barrington. Somebody brought up a Board of Health regulation that Great Barrington has that may outright ban the application on town property, but I haven't looked into that further.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. I don't know how valid the concerns are, but there are people who are concerned not just about contamination of like bodies of water or even proximate drinking water wells, but just that it will get into the groundwater and will travel the way groundwater does and eventually show up in somebody's well or a pond or something like that. But it's so even if it's not proximate to a well, there might still be concerns that people would have about that.
Right, and people are also concerned about the spraying aspect of it, that it would be
Sure.
airborne and
Yeah.
would affect them. We've received several emails
Yes,
full of assertions about how dangerous this is, but
right.
they're just assertions. I mean, we're not getting scientific data here.
Yeah.
However, it strikes me that there's a lot of pushback here, and while I am totally sympathetic to the wish to eradicate knotweed, it seems dicey to me to undertake a program that so many seem to be so adamantly opposed to,
I know.
especially because nothing else has been tried. And
Mhm.
they're getting their advice from a professional pesticide applicator, basically. And so he has a particular mindset. I'm not saying that he's, that it's self-interest or anything like that, but he has this particular mindset that is basically one and done, cheap and dirty, get it done in one or two applications, because the underlying assumption seems to be that if regular civilians have to deal with this over the long time that it can take to do it by manual means, that they won't, that they'll basically run out of steam and make things worse and not follow up. But it doesn't have to be that way. It would take longer and it would take constant constant effort, and it would probably take something like a 3-year plan or even a 5-year plan.
And
You know, much has been made of this business where if you cut it down, it sends out side shoots. That is true of every invasive plant that I've ever dealt with. And the way, it seems to me that the usual way of dealing with invasive plants is you start in the spring, and as soon as they put something out, you cut it down, and you come back every single week and you cut it down and you cut it down and you cut it down. You deprive it of photosynthesis, and you keep requiring it to use up its store of energy in the underground structures, and sooner or later you get the better of it, but it takes time and diligence.
Yeah. And in fairness to the highway department, a comprehensive plan should be accompanied with the appropriate funds so that they can do it. You know, if it's going to take time and additional devices or, you know, equipment to do it, then they should be given the funding to do it.
Well, that's a good point. I was thinking, however, of volunteers. I mean, they have this committee and they have a lot of people who are committed to it.
Yep.
And it seems to me that going out once a week and cutting down your particular assigned patch of knotweed is not a very onerous requirement, and that you know, having a little committee for each place where you're working, so that there's always somebody who could do it, right? If somebody's on vacation or whatnot, that is something that could be mobilized.
Yep.
So we'll see. I mean, yeah, I don't know. They haven't come back to us, so we'll find out. Anything else that we ought to be talking about?
I have nothing more.
Okay. Well, I'll remind you all that on Sunday, we're having the townwide birthday party. Every person is invited regardless of their age, but if you are turning a 0 number, as Arlene is, then you're the special guest. So it's going to be fun. Friday.
Yes, I'm turning 30.
Congratulations.
Dean got his invitation. He was very excited.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's a fun thing. I don't know if you came last year, I don't remember, but it's kind of fun. It's just kind of silly and goofy. We've got all kinds of crazy things planned. So I hope you'll come. All right, you guys, how about we adjourn?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, I'll see you at various times and certainly in 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.